Okay. Something a little different today. I don't do a lot of military vehicles, aircraft, whatever. It's just not my thing. I grew up with it. I grew up that life. My father being in the army, and of course me being in the Air Force. Um, and I just don't care about them. And of course, growing up in that life, of course, I built my fair share of these as a kid. Um, but again, it's getting to where my Hobby Lobby's selection of kits is getting very slim. If you know me from my old channel, you know I don't like building car kits. I may have even mentioned that on the few car kits I've done on this channel. Um, but I thought, what the heck, I'll give this a shot. It was a decent price, and it's a nice looking tank. And I believe I actually have seen these in my youth because they were in service until around 1987. Uh, I grew up in Germany, and I feel like this particular tank or a version of it was in pretty heavy use over there at the time. Early 80s, late 70s. Um, so I said, you know what, it looks pretty cool. I'll pick it up. I do have some part of it started. Uh, I actually started this a month or two ago, and it's just been sort of sitting in the box. I started it on a live stream I was doing with a bunch of other guys from at the time from HLI, HobbyLink International. But as far as I got the shell together. I got the couple wheels glued in place, and they're free spinning. I do have a lot of cleanup to do. Now I'm not super picky usually about scenes and things, but there's some gaps here that are just almost too ugly for me to live with. And that's because this thing really wasn't. I I feel like it may be from a super old mold. And so there's a lot of mold degradation issues, I would think, because the shell just did not fit together very well. But I have my model plastic filler, and I have some sanding sticks and things I can use to smooth it out. Again, I'm not looking for perfection. You can look at these things all day long, but if you've ever been up close and personal with one, any military vehicle, doesn't matter what it is, tank, Jeep, Humvee, more modern things, Bradleys, whatever. You up close, full of imperfections, huge weld lines. You got these model builders that will give it a real nice, smooth, consistent paint job. And again, if you've seen one in person, they're a patchwork of paint, usually. You know, they don't just, you replace a part and you want to paint that brand new part to match or somewhat match the rest of the tank. They don't repaint the whole darn tank so it's all one consistent color. They will find a color that matches, supposedly matches. They'll paint that part they replaced, and it won't match perfectly. So these things are always a hodgepodge of colors and a hodgepodge or shades of different greens or browns or whatever theater they happen to be working in. And they're not painted with airbrushes either. You guys that swear by the airbrush, that's great for you. But I promise you, these things are not painted with airbrushes. Most of the time, they're painted with brushes, or they're painted with. I've even seen guys use rollers to paint these things in real life. My father was a motor pool sergeant, so I'm a big fan of hand painting vehicles like this. So when I'm done with it, you will see brush marks, you will see brush patterns, and that's because that's how they are. What else? So I think I'm just going to get started on it. I think it's a nice looking tank in terms of what it is. Again, I feel like I grew up with this particular version. So there's a bit of nostalgia there. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to start building. This is one of those cases where I am going to build it almost completely, and then I'm going to paint it. because if I paint one part and then I go to put on another part, I have to scrape glue a paint to make the glue work properly, and it's just easier to do it all at once, I think. Plus, I also, like I say, I have to fill a lot of gaps and things here, do some sanding. So we'll come back in a few minutes after I've done a little bit of building, and we'll see where we are from there. Okay, we are back. Decided to go ahead and assemble all the wheels, I guess they're called. I don't actually know what all the parts are on a tank, but yeah, they're all free moving, so the track should go on pretty smoothly. So what I'm going to do next, we're gonna end this video here. We're already getting kind of up there in time. So this will be a multi-part series. So we're going to go ahead and, I think when we come back for the second video, we'll have this part painted. I wanted to paint it because it calls for the tracks to be put on next. And I'm not against that idea. The problem is I also want the tracks to be dirtied and painted. I don't want them to be the clean black that they are currently. So I want to weather and paint these. We'll paint this part so that it's all nice. I'm going to sand off some of this, these rough spots here, and fill a few gaps here and there. But I'll do that between this video and the next, because the next after the track is going to be the turret and the top part of the tank that goes up here. I think we're coming along. I'm a little bit nervous about this. I think this is what they call a drive wheel. This one's a little bit wonky, and I'm afraid that once I put that track on, it's gonna loosen up too much, or maybe even break. We'll see. I still have to paint the driver. I have to insert the I have to insert the driver, which sits up here. This actually opens up this door, and he pokes his head out through the top. I have to find a way to mount him. And I have the guy that sits up in the top of the turret here. Let me show you that image. Oh, bumping my camera. There we go. I have to paint this guy here. I've got him started. I just haven't finished him. Let me actually get him out. I went with kind of a green jacket. Pretty nice. I'm happy with that. I don't know that I'll finish painting all of the little army men. Not really that interested in those. I'm really building this just for the tank. But I'll put the driver in for sure. I'll get him finished. He's actually finished painting, I think. Where is he? Where is that guy? There he is. He's just the top part of his torso, really. But his head will poke out through that opening, and should look pretty good. I just got to mount him, and I think that's it. So we'll call the video here. When we come back, hopefully I will have the tracks painted and the body painted, and we'll move on from there. Should look good when we're done.